Welcome back. My husband and I had a great life when we first met. He was working in construction, a big, strong man with a great sense of humor and an even better personality. His sense of duty, responsibility, and unbelievable work ethic made him a man of his word, which made me fall in love with him almost immediately. We hit it off very soon after a few dates and got married. My husband always had bigger dreams for us and put in the work. Years later, he started his own construction company, which grew over time and is now competing with some of the biggest and oldest construction companies in our city. I was there for him from the beginning, every step of the way. A few years ago, he started experiencing painful pressure and found an abnormal lump in his lower abdomen. After ignoring it for a while, thinking it was an injury from work, I insisted he go to the hospital. There, he was told it was a tumor, cancerous. He had surgery, and thankfully, they successfully removed it without it spreading. That same year, my husband surprised me with a bakery he personally built. He remembered my dream of being a baker and thought it was the perfect time to start since our kids had started school. It was the greatest thing anyone had ever done for me, and our lives went smoothly from then on. Until recently, my husband was diagnosed with cancer again, this time prostate cancer, caught at a later stage. The doctors said his chances were slim but not impossible, so they encouraged him to continue treatment. However, the treatment has been taking a toll on his body, and his health seems to be deteriorating rather than improving. During all this, our neighbor has become a regular at my bakery shop, always a supportive shoulder to cry on. Due to my husband's bad health, he's no longer the big, burly man he used to be, and I've started to see the man he used to be in our neighbor. His hugs complete me the way my husband's used to. He's the same build my husband used to be before the cancer. I don't know how or when our affair started, but I'm glad it did. I'm much happier with my neighbor, and I spend more time with him anyway as my husband is constantly battling his illness. In the hospital, amidst the turmoil of my husband's illness, I found myself grappling with deep-seated dissatisfaction in our marriage. It's a sentiment that's been brewing for some time, quietly gnawing at me as I grapple with conflicting emotions. On one hand, there's the desire to end things and pursue a new path, one that may promise fulfillment and happiness. On the other hand, there's the fear of societal judgment, the worry of being perceived as callous or heartless for abandoning my husband in his time of need. It's a delicate balance, navigating between my own desires and the expectations of others. I find myself caught in a web of obligation and guilt, torn between staying for appearance's sake and pursuing my own happiness. And so, I wait, hoping for a resolution to present itself, for clarity to emerge from the murky waters of uncertainty. In the midst of this emotional turmoil, I've found solace in the arms of another, my neighbor. It's a clandestine affair, born out of shared vulnerability and mutual understanding. In him, I find comfort and companionship, a respite from the chaos of my crumbling marriage. But even as I seek solace in his embrace, I'm plagued by guilt and uncertainty, haunted by the fear of discovery and its inevitable consequences. Update: the fragile facade of secrecy shattered when my husband returned unexpectedly from his trip abroad. Caught in the act, there was no hiding the truth from him. His reaction was swift and shocking, a silent tableau of disbelief and betrayal. In that moment, as he stood before us with a gun in hand, I feared for my life. But he left without a word, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and shattered illusions. In the aftermath of his departure, I was left to grapple with the fallout of his discovery. Faced with the stark reality of our situation, I made the difficult decision to file for divorce, to sever ties and forge a new path forward. But even as I took the first steps towards independence, I found myself ensnared in a legal battle for custody, a bitter struggle for control and vindication. Update: to the days blurred together in a haze of uncertainty and fear. I found myself embroiled in a physical altercation with my husband's sister, a desperate bid to reclaim control in the face of mounting opposition. But my efforts were in vain, as I soon found myself forcibly removed from my home and confined to a mental asylum. In the darkness of my confinement, I grappled with the harsh reality of my situation. Betrayed by those I once trusted, abandoned by those I once loved, I struggled to make sense of the chaos that engulfed me. And yet, amidst the turmoil, a flicker of defiance burned bright within me, a defiant resolve to reclaim my autonomy and fight for the future of my children. He expressed that the construction company stood as his legacy for our children, securing their future with shares and a trust accessible at 21. His proposal involved buying back the shares he initially gifted me to include them in the trust. He reasoned that his sister and her husband were better equipped to raise our children, suggesting they could provide a more stable environment. But I saw through his ploy. The construction company isn't just a business. It's our family's lifeline, sustaining us through thick and thin. I refuse to relinquish custody of my children or our stake in the company. Despite feeling morally compromised, I've reached a point where I have nothing left to lose. It's as though I've hit rock bottom and then descended further into the depths. Update 3. The custody battle has escalated, taking a severe toll on my mental well-being. Amidst the turmoil, I caused an accident at work, resulting in the devastating loss of our bakery. My ex's family exploited this incident in court, painting a biased narrative and portraying me as unfit to raise our children due to supposed anger issues and pathological tendencies. As a result, I've been mandated by the court to undergo psychiatric evaluation and treatment until deemed capable of parental responsibility. My ex-sister-in-law has temporary custody of my children, and my once thriving bakery has become entangled in a legal battle for ownership. Tragically, my ex-husband passed away shortly after the custody dispute, leaving me grappling with a whirlwind of emotions and uncertainty. I'm at a loss, unsure of how to navigate this surreal nightmare. The numbness I feel is palpable, a combination of anguish and the effects of medication. Yet, amidst the chaos, I find solace in the support of my family and friends. Their unwavering encouragement reminds me that I'm not alone in this ordeal. Comments. Your resilience in the face of such adversity is admirable. It's evident that you're enduring an unimaginably challenging time, juggling legal battles and personal struggles. Remember to prioritize self-care and seek professional support to navigate through this tumultuous period. With time and perseverance, you'll find a way to reclaim your life and reunite with your children. Stay strong and lean on your support network for guidance and comfort. My friend, who is 30 years old, has been in a 5-year relationship and is on the brink of marriage. However, she recently confessed to me that she had been engaged in a months-long affair with a manipulative man who is 40 years old. Throughout this tumultuous period, she implored me to keep her secret, pleading with me to cover for her. Despite my discomfort and moral qualms, I complied, suppressing my own ethical principles for the sake of our friendship. Initially, I grappled with the belief that her infidelity was not my concern, but as I observed her unsuspecting and kind-hearted boyfriend, who remained oblivious to her betrayal, I began to feel a profound sense of guilt. Despite her constant demands for support during her crises and important moments, she is dismissive of my own needs. She expects unwavering loyalty and assistance from me, yet she is indifferent to my struggles and concerns. Recently, when I reached out to her for support regarding a family issue, having not seen her for 9 days, she responded with annoyance and impatience. She trivialized my problems and chided me for dwelling on my own issues, demonstrating a blatant disregard for my feelings. Ironically, she often lectures me about finding a boyfriend and suggests that my life lacks fulfillment because I am single. It has become increasingly evident that she prioritizes her own needs and desires above all else, including our friendship. Despite her expressions of remorse for her affair, her actions continue to reflect a selfish and self-centered mindset. She seems to lack genuine empathy for those around her, including her fiancé, whose trust she has betrayed. In addition, it is worth mentioning that my friend's regret for her actions is accompanied by a desire to harm herself, indicating a profound internal conflict. Despite her love for her boyfriend and her remorse for the affair, her behavior remains selfish and inconsistent, leaving me to question the sincerity of her intentions. Overall, I find myself grappling with conflicting emotions as I navigate this complex and morally challenging situation. While I value our friendship, I cannot ignore the profound sense of betrayal and disappointment I feel towards my friend's actions. As I strive to uphold my own principles and values, I am left wondering how to reconcile my loyalty to her with my own sense of integrity. My friend was in a tumultuous situation where she was being stalked by someone. I stood by her side, helping her sever ties with her lover and guiding her through the healing process. Eventually, She decided to cut off all contact with the lover and even distanced herself from friends who were aware of the affair, including to other close friends and me. For over 7 months, she didn't communicate with me, which left me feeling quite down. However, I respected her decision and refrained from reaching out, understanding that she needed space. Unexpectedly, after 7 months, she reached out to me, offering an apology. She had severed ties with the other two friends but wanted to reconnect with me despite knowing that I was privy to her dark secret. Sometimes, I wish she hadn't come back at all. I'm starting to lose patience with the situation. While I could choose to cut ties with her, I hesitate because I fear it would have a detrimental impact on her life. Her boyfriend is her main support system, and they're planning to get married. I'm aware of their rocky relationship, including one violent incident where he pushed her to the ground. However, they've worked through it with therapy and other efforts. I'm reluctant to intervene further because I lack concrete proof of her infidelity, and her boyfriend sees her as an innocent and caring person. He's oblivious to her darker side, as she portrays herself as a kind-hearted individual to him and her family. Despite her manipulative behavior and her trust in me to keep her darkest secrets, I feel drained by our relationship. She gives nothing in return, and I'm considering distancing myself from her. Engaging in infidelity is inherently selfish, and I'm not surprised by her self-centered actions. It's time for me to prioritize my own well-being and step away from the drama she brings into my life. If necessary, I'm prepared to inform her boyfriend about her true character. Ultimately, I need to surround myself with friends who share my values and respect my boundaries.